Hey everyone, welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. Today we're going to finish up talking about an opinion essay. This is the fifth day of this writing workshop series. So at this point in time, our students have already been introduced to the genre. They've gone over how to support their opinion with strong body paragraphs that include a topic sentence and supporting details. We've talked about transition words. We've talked about how to create a great introduction and a great conclusion. And now we're going to put this all together. So we're going to start by reviewing what an opinion essay is. So remember, we said it's when we express our opinion clearly about a particular topic. We want to directly state our opinion. To directly state your opinion means to do so at the beginning of your writing. This is really difficult for multilingual learners, particularly students who are coming from cultures where indirect communication is valued. Some students might be taught that they should examine other sides of the issue, they should subtly hint at what their opinion is, and then eventually they can arrive at their own opinion. For an Anglophone audience, that may be confusing. So we want to ensure that we're directly telling our students that they need to clearly state their opinion at the beginning of their essay. We want to come up with at least three big reasons to support our opinion. Each of those three big reasons is going to be its own body paragraph. Those reasons are going to be well developed with details, facts, and examples. And remember, our opinion essay has three big parts: an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And I always tell my students, your introduction, tell them what you're going to tell them. In the body, tell them. And in the conclusion, tell them what you told them. So now let's take a look at what a good introduction looks like. We said we want to start by hooking the reader. We're going to introduce the topic. So over these 5 lessons, we've talked about artificial intelligence and whether students think artificial intelligence is something that people are becoming too reliant on, or if it's something that improves our workflows and our productivity and efficiency. So then our students are going to give the reader a roadmap. You're going to tell your audience where you're going with your essay. What are the 3 big ideas that are going to support your argument? And finally, your thesis statement. I love teaching the opinion essay. I teach it early in my writing workshop series because I think it's the easiest genre to teach students what a thesis statement is. Ultimately, your thesis statement is your argument. We want our students to be able to argue a thesis statement in a problem and solution essay, argue a thesis statement in a comparative essay, argue a thesis in a cause and effect essay. It's a little bit more complicated in those genres. In an opinion essay, it is straightforward, so I always start here. So now, once we've done our introduction, we want to move to our body paragraphs. We want to start each body paragraph with a topic sentence. Remember, each body paragraph is going to represent one big idea in support of the author's opinion. Then, after we give our opinion or our reason, that's the topic sentence. Then we're going to move into details that give more information about that topic sentence. Those are our supporting details. Then we want to move to our conclusion. We want to signpost or signal the end of that essay by saying in conclusion or in summary. We want to restate our thesis or retell our opinion. I always try to get my students to use different words. This is a great opportunity to incorporate work with paraphrasing. If your students struggle with that, or if multilingual learners are still trying to master the rhetorical features of English academic writing, you can simply have them restate it using the same language. Then we want to summarize those big reasons. Again, you can try to use different language if possible. If not, if students want to restate what they said in their introduction, that's fine. And then finally, we want to leave our audience with a final thought or a concluding thought. So now that we've done all of this, we want to focus on making our essay better. And one way to do that is peer review. So we're going to focus on revising and editing our work. So when we revise our essay, we're making substantive changes to the essay. Do we need to add something? Do we need to remove something? Is there something that needs to be changed? Something that can be further developed? When we edit our writing, we're going to check our spelling, our grammar, and our punctuation. Now, different teachers approach this differently. I always tell my students when they get to the writing process, especially because I do work with so many multilingual learners, forget about your spelling, forget about your grammar, forget about your punctuation. Just get your ideas down on paper. That to me is the most important thing, is that students structure their argument. After they do that, after they've got a well-developed argument, then we can go back. We can fix the spelling, we can fix the grammar, we can fix the punctuation. It doesn't mean that we ignore these things. It's just that we don't focus on them in the beginning of our writing, in those early stages of the writing process. And the reason for that is that if we do that, then our students may struggle to actually get those ideas down. So as we move to peer review, this is something I do with my students all the time so they understand what the expectations are. If you're just introducing it to your class for the first time, it's important to let your students understand that there is a difference between being critical and offering constructive criticism. We want to aim to offer constructive criticism to help our peers develop. And we want to model that for our students. So saying that their writing's unclear, saying it's stupid, saying you don't like it, questioning why they did something as something that might be foolish or poorly planned. None of that makes us better. We want to give detail. We want to be specific. So, for example, this paragraph needs to be further developed. I think you've got a really good topic sentence. You've got a great reason. I'd like to know a little bit more, though, here. You're not really developing it for me. If you added this, it would make it better for me. And that's another great thing to do, particularly as you're working with older writers, getting them to take the focus off of you and bring it back to me, the peer editor. So this would be clearer for me if I saw. That's a great way to offer constructive criticism because it takes the criticism away from the person who wrote the essay and it brings it back to the person who's giving the criticism. This is how it could be easier for me if someone did this. Again, we also want to tell our students who are receiving criticism that this is being done to help them. So when we go back to our seats, when our students go back to their seats, we want them to work through this process with a graphic organizer. I always work through a model essay and I bring up slides that mirror what the graphic organizer is going to look like. So this is exactly what they're going to see in the handout and the checklist that they're going to be using during the peer editing process. So they've got different things that are expected for the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And right here, we've got that peer review checklist that they are going to be utilizing. And then they're going to go back to their seats and eventually come back to the carpet and they're going to share what they got out of the peer editing process. I think a lot of teachers skip over the peer editing process. If there's something that needs to give in our writing workshop lessons, it's usually the final day of writing workshop when we do this. I think it's really important that we take the time to engage our students in peer editing. It's important for developing their critical thinking skills. The students who offer feedback to their peers, often they improve their own writing quality. It also helps to build audience awareness and genre awareness. It helps our students to communicate and collaborate. It makes students more engaged in the lesson. If students are just passive consumers of something that we're giving them through a lecture, they're not as engaged. They become just that. They become passive consumers. Now students are actually involved in the writing and the teaching process. Students, through revising their peers' work, become better self-editors, and they're able to analyze their own writing more critically and more effectively. And it makes them more confident as young writers. So thank you so much for joining me. You can find this lesson and all my lessons in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which is linked in the video description.